Up first are the accurate rifles. These include the M4A1 and the ACR. Before I go any further, I need to stress a point. I'm going to say this both now and after the breakdown of these two rifles. These are incredibly similar. I'm about to go over how each is superior to the other in different ways, but the fact is, in the grand scheme, these are a great example of what I meant when I said some rifles are borderline clones of one another.
Send in the clone!
He is exactly like you in every way.
The first rifle is the M4A1. You unlock this at level 4 with Create a Class. The M4A1 is fully automatic, with a magazine of 30 bullets, or 45 if you have extended mags. The gun fires at a rate of 800 RPM, which is relatively high for an assault rifle, but the recoil is low and easily manageable. Each bullet does 30 to 20 damage, which translates to 4 hits to kill up close and 5 at long range. If you put on stopping power...
I've got the power!
Tired of that joke yet? Anyway, it does 42 to 28 damage, which lowers the number of bullets to kill to 3 up close and 4 at long range. The gun is stopping power optimal, as stopping power will reduce the number of bullets you need to kill by 1 at any range. One of the big debates about the M4A1 is the irons. They're somewhat polarizing. The inner circle is very thin, and the post makes marking your shots relatively easy at any distance. I have to admit, I really do like the irons, and I'm a bit addicted to them.
Yeah, I'm also addicted to boobies.
But a lot of people get turned off by the irons. The gigantic thick circle and posts of the rear sight can be annoyingly distracting. I know there's some military men out there who feel right at home with these sights, but it's really that thick circle in the back that will turn a lot of people off and make them put on a sight. The best way I can think to describe this gun is it's one of the best all-purpose weapons in the game. There's honestly nothing that this gun is bad at. You can handle close-range combat up to a bit past medium-range combat. The only range this gun isn't really good at is at long range, where snipers have the advantage. But that's more a strength of snipers than a weakness of this gun. When you do have long range combat, the recoil finally becomes noticeable, and placing a long range shot can be a challenge. Regardless, you can handle most ranges of combat, and because of this, you can use it with any attachment, and the gun can fit just about any playstyle.
Wer ist das nette schwarze Kind?
For your perk selection, it's very open to your personal preference. I will make one recommendation, and that's for your red perk. I really advise stopping power. The bullet power is very weak, and without stopping power, you're probably going to have some frustrations with winning firefights. The strengths of this gun are a combination of good magazine size, fire rate, and low recoil. The irons are a neutral point. You'll either love them or hate them. It's a matter of personal preference. The only real weakness of this gun is the bullet power. 30 to 20 damage per bullet is the second weakest damage amount for bullets in this game.
Really?
Yes, really.
The brother to the M4A1, as I touched on earlier, is the ACR, or Adaptable Combat Rifle, as it's officially known. You unlock this at level 48. The ACR is fully automatic, with a magazine of 30 bullets, or 45 if you have extended mags. The gun fires at a rate of 750 RPM, which isn't really impressive, but isn't horrible either. What is impressive is how little recoil this gun has. This has been more commonly known as the automatic sniper rifle. As the gun resets before each new shot, it can basically hit a dime from across the map with a constant stream of bullets. Each bullet does 30 to 20 damage, which again translates to 4 bullets to kill up close and 5 at long range. If you put on stopping power, it does 42 to 28 damage, which again lowers the number of bullets to kill to 3 up close and 4 at long range. As you may have guessed, this gun is also stopping power optimal. I have to say, the irons in this gun have yielded one of the stranger arguments out there. Normally it's more straightforward with just a post, but this gun features an actual cross on the irons. You would think people would naturally love these, but I've heard people adamantly claim to hate them. When it comes to my personal opinion, I don't mind using them, but I am not a fan of the irons on the ACR.
Get him, girl!
Yeah, I know. I said it. Let me explain. I think I have a theory as to why this is, and it's not just for me, but for people out there who dislike the irons in general. I think it's the fact that the three nubs from the cross can be blurry if you have an older standard definition TV, such as what I play with. They can be distracting from the center point, whereas HD TVs will naturally show it better. Anyway, that's just my theory.
Whoever came up with that theory never had a trailer hitch stuck up their ass.
This is definitely one of the more popular rifles in the game. People are naturally drawn to the lack of recoil. I have drifted to the red dot sight myself as my favorite attachment over time. To be honest, you can use whatever attachment you want on this rifle, but the red dot sight makes long distance shots easier to place, which is why I prefer it. I have to admit something. I have to be careful here as I'm probably going to set off a few ACR fans if I haven't already. I think this gun is a little overpowered. I just want to emphasize that I said a little overpowered. The bullet power is low and the rate of fire is slower than the M4A1, but the fact that the gun can hit anything from anywhere just seems a tad overpowered for an assault rifle. To balance it, I would have liked to see something along the lines of some idle sway in the gun, or perhaps a smaller magazine of 20 to 25 bullets. Regardless, I still like it, and me saying this is overpowered really is getting nitpicky when you consider some of the other, much more flagrant flaws in the game. I don't really have much to add for perk selection that's different than with the M4. Stopping power for your red perk, whatever the hell you want for the other two. When covering the strengths of the ACR, it really is almost identical to the M4A1. It has good magazine size, good fire rate, and incredibly low recoil, all of which combine to make the rifle lethal. The irons are again a neutral point. It's a matter of personal preference. The weakness to this gun is the bullet power. 30 to 20 per bullet makes stopping power mandatory. The high rate of fire does help somewhat make up for the lack of damage, but I still say use stopping power. The rundown looks a bit like this. The two guns do the same amount of damage and have the same sized magazines. The irons are pretty solid and well accepted by the community. Just because I'm not a fan of the ACR's iron sights doesn't mean I don't recognize this. The reload times are 1/10 of a second apart, so I consider that about the same. The raise and sight times are also within 1/10 of a second within one another, so they're even there also. The M4 has a faster fire rate and thus faster time to kill, but the ACR has less recoil, superior long-range capability, and additionally its damage drop-off happens further than the M4's does. Even after pointing out these differences, I still say they're almost the same. Honestly, just pick the one that feels more natural to you. The last rifle I'm covering in this part of the review is the F2000. You unlock this at level 60. The F2000 is fully automatic with a magazine of 30 bullets, or 45 if you have extended mags. The gun fires at a whopping rate of 925 RPM.
Really?
You pay a price for this though, and that's with the recoil. The recoil on this gun is the highest in the game when you compare it to other guns. The favorite way I've ever heard this put was the devs took all of the recoil that should have been in the other guns and put it in this one. Moving on, each bullet again does 30 to 20 damage, which is just like before with the M4 and ACR, so I'm not going to run through the numbers game again. The irons on this gun are actually pretty solid. I don't really have a complaint to make about them. I will say, however, that the flash of the gun tends to block your view of the irons, so I prefer the silencer to help get rid of this muzzle flash. Since we're going to talk about attachments, I should also mention you don't get the typical red dot sight on this gun. You get a Mars sight. It's pretty annoying visually. You'll get sun glare on the lens and the sight just seems overall bulky, though the red dot doesn't go away during an EMP, so use this as you will. For your perk selection, it's really very open to your personal preference. However, this time I will say that I do prefer sleight of hand for the blue perk. The gun tends to chew through its magazine rapidly, so the quick reloads really does help this gun keep the combat going. For your red perk, I again advise stopping power because of how the numbers work. It's really hard for me to explain how I feel about this gun. On the one hand, I really do agree with the small minority of people who like the F2000 and how it plays. I think too many people give this gun too little credit. The strength is its fire rate, as it makes it the best assault rifle at fighting up close, and also makes it the best at firing from the hip. Still, that's not how a lot of people like to play, and I recognize in the grand scheme this assault rifle really is more of a hindrance than a blessing. In the end, I like it, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to make fun of it. This thing is comedic gold. I have to make fun of it. It's the only gun in the game that has a good bit of recoil and most people hate it. The weird thing is I actually thought of too many video bits that fit making fun of the F2000. So I've got a top 5 list assembled for you. Here's the list of the top 5 clips making fun of the F2000. Number 5.
What a piece of junk!
Number 4.
How can you be such a complete ass and so half-assed at the same time? You're a contradiction and derogatory term!
Number 3.
Well, to be perfectly frank, it's bad.
I knew it!
Number 2.
What a piece of junk!
Thank you. This was my brother's. He died of leukemia. How do you feel now?
And the number 1 clip making fun of the F2000.
You're as useless as a crotchless chastity belt!
Anyway, the strength of this gun are a combination of good magazine size and fire rate. The irons are solid too. The fire rate also makes this gun extremely effective when firing from the hip. The gun has obvious weaknesses though. The recoil is very high. It's pretty hard to control, but is easily manageable. Also, the bullets are weak, though the high rate of fire really helps negate this, provided you can actually hit something. In general, most people consider this to be the worst primary in the game, though I still find it valuable on certain maps with certain playstyles.
And the triple band took fire. The crowd